guys feel about the dinner that I've planned for tonight? I want your honest
Meatloaf.
opinion. Do you know what it is?
It's meatloaf.
How are you feeling, Kaden? Do you think it's gonna be good?
Scared.
Me too. Levi's scared of meatloaf.
No,
Haley,
I'm
you feel
scared.
good about it?
I feel scared because I'm gonna be scared and when it flies up
So what
at
did
the
she say?
top of the roof.
Why would it fly up at the top of the roof?
She's eating cheddar Pringles. And
You're already eating the lunch you made for yourself?
I can smell them from here.
Oh, I know why. Well, I'm scared because I think it's gonna be lost. My oven's gonna break down and then you have to put it in the microwave until it's not baked anymore.
You've heard the story.
Yep.
You're such a jokester. We have a nice oven. I don't want to jinx it, but I hope it doesn't break. Our sink broke last night, but I don't think our oven will break.
Our sink went.
Wait, we don't have to eat it.
I died.
All right. I'm doing an experiment, a gardening experiment. I'm doing a lot of experiments right now, an egg experiment, a garden experiment. But my rabbits need shade. I hope it's not too windy. I'm gonna stand over here by the coop where it's not so windy. Anyway, my rabbits need shade and I've come up with a solution. I want to plant some plants along a sort of fencing that I've just put up. I'll show it to you in just a minute. But I usually don't plant plants until June. And the reason is because we always get freezes at the end of May. We always get a random late freeze. And so I usually wait until June to plant, and I did last year. And this year I am going to plant some things in May. And because last year we got a freeze on June 9th, so it didn't even matter that I waited to plant my plants. So what I'm going to be doing is just checking the weather every night and covering the plants that I plant with milk jugs and like some old vinegar jugs and just random things like that. And I'll show you that too. But let me show you the plants I'm going to plant and let me show you the fence I just did. I think my solution to everything is just plant a tomato. That'll solve all your problems. So I'm going to try 3 tomatoes. These are Wisconsin 55. I was going to put a cherry tomato out here, but I don't really have any extras of the cherry tomatoes. So I'm going to hold off and plant my cherry tomatoes in June. And I'm going to try some things from seed. Some winter squash. Oh, these aren't vining, but they will. I'm going to plant them at the bottom. Radishes. And radishes are fine to plant even when it's freezing outside. Winter squash. Cucumbers. These are seeds that I saved last year. We're going to see if they work. I didn't do anything special with the flowers, so they might be very strange plants because you're supposed to tape them off. And then I've got some other things in this bag that I haven't looked at that I'm thinking about planting too. So here's the rabbits. And in the afternoon, so in the morning they're nice and shady and cool. And rabbits really can't tolerate the heat. But I decided to put up this. I even pounded in the T-post, you guys. Usually my husband does that for me, but I'm excited about it. So I put this fencing up here, and hopefully the plants will just grow right up along it and give the rabbits some shade in the afternoon, because they've been getting pretty uncomfortable in the afternoon. I come out and give them fresh water and everything, but they just do not like the heat. And my plan is actually to take this all the way around this flower garden so that I can let my ducks and chickens out to free range again, because they've been missing free ranging. But the first thing they do, and you can see right there, is they did a dust bath, and they love this like really soft compost I've got down for my plants. Look at all these little flowers coming up. Anyway, I think I want to take that fencing. This is all just recycled materials that I had on my property. But I think I'm going to go and buy some more of this because I don't have very much more. I have enough to do like one side. But I'm going to buy some more of this type of fencing and put it all the way so that it surrounds my little flower garden. And I know I was thinking it might look bad, but it doesn't look too bad. And I would much rather have my plants be protected from the chickens and the ducks than, and they could totally jump over this if they really, really wanted to. But I think that they'll stay out enough because of all this other stuff that they have to munch on when I let them out. But anyway, that's what's going on. They were starting to wilt, so I went inside and grabbed a couple more tomatoes, and I'm just going to see if one of them will be strong enough to survive. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. On this spot, you can see how wilted it got already. There they are. The next thing I'm doing is I'm going to put this over them because they've never been in the full sun. And I'm going to put this around the handle of the milk carton so that it doesn't blow away. It actually ended up being the most perfect day to do this because it's very cloudy. I ended up planting, it's kind of windy, so I'm sure that it's going to be blocked, but there's a tomato under there, the Wisconsin 55. Well, I put a couple tomatoes to see if one will survive. From seed, I put Ashley organic cucumber. They're probably not true seed though because I collected them last year and they were open pollinated. So they might turn into some funky gourd. This is again the cucumber, Wisconsin 55 tomato. Over here I have butternut squash. And the seeds should sprout. They should be fine. This will be the greenhouse effect. And then I also did acorn squash. And right here is another tomato. I also planted Swiss chard and lettuce in this area right here. And I've got a couple radishes. I put a radish with each seed, like each cucumber, each summer seed, so that I could see, because radishes will grow in the cold weather. If the radish is growing, then it's getting enough water and stuff. So, and I'll pull the radish, and hopefully the cucumber and squash will grow just fine. And I'm hoping that once the vining plants start growing, to put like a string of some sort, maybe a wire, up to the chicken coop, and then those vining plants can just continue to grow up, and then this will just be a shady walkway right here. Be kind of fun. We'll see if it works. That's my plan so far. Hopefully it works. On the menu today is meatloaf, as the kids were saying this morning. Last night I filmed a bunch of stuff that I was gonna put in this video, and I edited it already last night and had it all set aside in like a little file, and I was deleting, so there's a file, I use an app called Video Show app, and there's a file called My Drafts, and there's a file called My Works. And I left everything in My Works, but I erased everything in My Drafts. And when I erased my drafts, it couldn't pull up the file anymore, and so I tried recovering the file, but all of that footage that I got last night is completely gone. It was pretty funny. I'll just give a little recap. I got the elk meat out. I weighed the elk meat because I wasn't sure how big the packages were, and I was showing that I'm thawing out the meat the night before. Yay! And the other crazy thing that happened is half of our sink just totally started leaking, and I think it's been leaking for like a week or so because we kept smelling the smell in the kitchen. Like, okay, anyway, we kept smelling the smell in the kitchen and we're like, what is that smell? What is that smell? And we found out that there was a leak, and because I'm kind of a hoarder, I had a bunch of pickle jars under the sink. And the pickle jar caught all of the water that was dripping. So there was a little bit of spillage out, but for the most part, there was just this jar of nasty water under the sink. And that's what we kept smelling, was this like fermenting water under our sink. It was gross. But I still can't use this half of the sink. Ryan went to get the parts for the sink, but they didn't pan out, so he's got to get more parts. And then I do have one clip from last night. I was super bummed because he bought beef jerky from the store, and I was like, Ryan, we're not supposed to buy things, because I told the YouTube channel that we're gonna not go to the store. And I'm like, the ox was in the mire. We had to get parts for our sink. That's, everybody can understand. And it wasn't groceries. It was just a part to our sink. But then he also was like, I was just standing in the checkout aisle, and I was like, man, I'm really hungry. And he grabbed some beef jerky, and he's like, I ate it so fast because I didn't want you to see that I bought it. But then I wanted to be honest that I bought it. So apparently we bought beef jerky. So I don't know if that ruins our whole challenge, but I'll add the clip in from last night. It's pretty funny. I do have that one clip, which I'm really glad about.
Bad, this is weird.
You sound like Michael from The Office. So something happened tonight.
What?
I said, so something happened tonight.
I bought jerky.
So, in the video that I made last night when I was getting the meat out of the freezer, as I was walking to the garage, I talked to you guys about my one time that I made meatloaf. And we have shared this story on the channel in another video. I'm not exactly sure which video it's in, but the first time and only time I made meatloaf in our marriage, I undercooked it. Well, our oven broke in the middle of it. So we lived in this little rundown trailer. We were first married, and I was trying to be a good wife. Like, I'm going to make dinner for my husband every night. And I made meatloaf, and I put it in the oven on time bake, and we got home from church. It just happened to be a Sunday. We got home from church, and I pull out the meatloaf, and we cut it, and it looked raw. And I'm like, well, that's weird. So I'm like, well, let's just put it back in the oven for a little bit, and it'll cook. And we tried to turn back on the oven, and at some point during the time bake, our oven completely broke and stopped working. So I was so mad that this meatloaf wasn't cooked that I threw it in the microwave and tried microwaving it the rest of the way to make it cook. And then I actually ate some, and Ryan's like, you ate raw meat that day. And I was like, so it's like a running joke in our house that we don't make meatloaf because I sucked at it the first time and I never tried again. Something that is super funny in this recipe, which it would be funnier if I had all of those clips that I accidentally erased, but I don't know, still kind of funny. It's a funny story. But something that's really funny is in this cookbook, you're not going to believe this, I just looked and it says meatloaf and it gives all the ingredients, and then it gives you all the directions, and then in bold letters it says microwave directions. And so I totally have to show my husband that it says microwave directions on here. So you can microwave meatloaf apparently, but I just thought that was so funny because I just threw it in the microwave like out of spite for my own oven. Like, I'm just gonna microwave it. Anyway, that was really funny. We were both still in college and first married, and that was really fun. Okay, so let's get on to the recipe. Again, I'm not doing like a cooking tutorial. I'm just showing you the ingredients that go in to each meal, and we'll show some little clips of me making the meal and show you what it looks like once it's made. Today, I'm doing meatloaf and with a side of steamed cauliflower. I think that'll be fine. I could have pulled out rolls, but I You know what? There's time. I'll pull out some rolls too and cook some rolls. Is that good? Do rolls go with meatloaf? I don't know. My kids love rolls, and maybe they might end up just eating a roll. So, I'm just kidding. They'll probably eat one bite of meatloaf and a roll. We'll see. We'll see how this goes. Some of them are excited, and some of them are feeling scared of this meal, which is kind of funny. All right. 2 eggs is the first ingredient, and I'm going to be using 3 because I have 2 from my bantam chickens, and I love this new thing I got. I have to show you again because I just love it. It's called a 2-drawer egg, 2-egg drawer, and I have it right here. I am stratifying some seeds. Anyway, I put all my oldest eggs in the top and put them like this, so I was able to grab out the oldest eggs. So I'm pretty excited about that. That we have a system so the eggs won't be getting too old, and it's kind of nice having eggs in the fridge. I do think I want to get one of those ceramic ones that I was talking about. Cool. I think I'm going to get a ceramic meatloaf. I'm going to get, sorry, I'm so distracted. It's a really cute like ceramic egg holder, and I like to have room temperature eggs for baking because I like to bake with room temperature eggs. So if I had one of those, I could just pull a few eggs out of the fridge, like, oh, I'm gonna make a cake, and pull out like 2-3 eggs, put it on the ceramic dish, and set it on the counter so that those eggs could warm up and be ready for baking. In a minute. I'm cooking right now. Can you go out for a minute? She's hungry. Back to the recipe. So I'm using 3 eggs instead of 2 because the bantam chicken eggs are quite tiny. So I always just use 2 instead of 1 when I'm cooking. That's how I do it. Milk. This is one of the frozen milks. This is the first one we thawed out. And I noticed because I didn't take this off, this did pop out on all of them. So maybe that's why maybe that's the reason that the milks are designed that way. So if they freeze, that little thing will pop out and not be a huge disaster. Maybe, I don't know. Fine dry breadcrumbs. I did look to see if there was any weevils or anything, and there's not. Because these, I don't know how old these are, you guys. They've been in the cupboard forever. I don't know the last time I baked with breadcrumbs. Probably got it to put on top of a casserole of some sort, but I don't know the last time we had a casserole, so they're very old. It's not fine. Probably fine. Okay, chopped onion, 1/4 a cup. I'm gonna use this piece. We use half an onion in the macaroni and cheese and put the other half in this baggie. Parsley, snipped parsley. Salt. Sage. Ground beef. I forgot to get that out. We are using ground elk. I'm not using all 3. I will be using 1 1/2. So I ended up weighing these. I'll weigh them on camera again so you can see. But I'm going to use 1 1/2. They ended up being about 1 pound each. And I learned that a pound is 16 ounces because I was like, how many ounces? Because one was measuring 15 ounces, which is almost a pound. So anyway, I'm just going to say those bags are about a pound. Okay, and that's elk. We're going to make elk meatloaf. Ketchup, brown sugar, and dry mustard. Those are the ingredients. The other thing that happened last night is the sink was totally, so that's the part that needs replacing, is this part is leaking. So Ryan's gonna buy a new one of those today. Anyway, this was all taken out and was a giant hole. And I completely forgot that the sink was like that. And I started washing my hands, and I got done washing my hands, and I looked down, and I had gotten it super wet down there because of all the water that was going through the hole. And I was like, I screwed up. So now I have this lovely strawberry plant assistant reminding me, do not use this sink. And Ryan's like, there's no way you would harm a plant, so put a plant down in the sink and you won't. So that's what the strawberry plant is doing. Isn't it so cute? We got it from, I believe, Home Depot in Flagstaff on the shopping trip.
those rolls.
Maybe.
Hey, bud. You got mommy's shoes on?
Mommy's shoes.
Well, my meatloaf is totally cooked all the way. We'll see if the kids like it. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I hope you had a great day. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, even if you didn't, you could still like and subscribe. But if you did like it, and if you are enjoying the content we're putting up, please like and subscribe and follow along with our journey. We really appreciate it for everyone who has liked, subscribed, and shared our videos on social media. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.
What's sleepy?
You like it?
Oh,
Get some, bud.
sleepy time, remember? Oh, because it's made of sleepy time. No, it's not. Sleepy time was not.
Yum.
Sleep back.